Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Ferguson, joined with Reed Bacon. What a great day it is. Vols have now beat Missouri, a thrashing. We break it all down. We talk about the offense, what they were doing well, why it was working so well. We talk about the defense, different formations they were using, why they were able to disrupt that Missouri offense so well, and the turnaround of Tennessee and where we can head, where we can go. How is this South Carolina game going to look, and how we stack up versus some other SEC teams. So great podcast. Really enjoyed it. Let's jump into it.
By the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score: Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught it by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
So before we get into the podcast, got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. I say it every week, but that's the place to go to bet on anything. Now that the NFL season has started, college football has started, everything is even more exciting when you bet. So if you're looking for the place with the best odds, stats, lines, BetOnline is the place to go. Go to betonline.ag now or use your mobile device, and you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So it's the place to go. I mean, you can't get better than that 50% welcome bonus. So before the next big game, go to betonline.ag, sign up today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, welcome in, everyone. What a beautiful day it is. Just an absolute thrashing of the Missouri Tigers. Super excited to talk about it. Reed, how we doing, bud? I'm sure hopes and feelings are very high right now.
Oh. 1-0. Oh, wait, I did that again. The mess up the one. Hey, 1-0. It's a week to week, and man, it feels great. I'm juiced this morning. We had been recording at night. I'm juiced this morning. Big win yesterday. Had a nice church service mass at Sacred Heart this morning at 9 a.m. I got my sister in there whipping up some pancakes, bacon, and sausage that I'm about to pound after this. I got my Titans gear on. We play today. So, man, I'm feeling great. I'm excited to talk about this game. I'm going to start off by Mr. James Gentry. James Gentry in the comments, bro. We read all the comments, but I have probably once a week, maybe once every couple weeks, whether I'm watching TV, whether I see something on social media, whether it's a friend. You've done this to me a couple of times when we've been out, and it's just somebody hits me with something, and maybe the group doesn't find it as funny as I do, but I can't stop laughing. And it's like for a good couple minutes. And I'm sitting in the office on Thursday, and I was reading these. I was reading some of the comments, like sitting there eating lunch and reading some of the comments. And I'm going through and saying the different stuff, and we love all the positive feedback. And I am going to start name dropping some of these people. But James Gentry had me laughing out loud by myself while eating lunch, and it was freaking hilarious. So for the other people that don't know what he said, he was talking about my background, which we briefly talked about. I'm at my parents' house. It used to be my grandparents' house. We're remodeling. We still got grass cloth and whatever this gold thing is from the 70s. But when James Gentry said, "I'm glad to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. is recording from a Chinese restaurant," I lost it. So then I call Kyler and I tell him, and he starts dying laughing. So, anyways, super funny. It's hilarious. It was hilarious. Kudos to you, Mr. James.
Yes, James might have a career as a comedian in the future.
And it's the way he said it. He goes, "Great show, boys. I see Dale Jr. has started filming in a Chinese restaurant now. Nice touch." It's just so funny. It's just so funny. Oh my gosh.
Like nice touch. You're making the podcast better by recording in a Chinese restaurant.
Oh goodness gracious. I hope we get to meet James one day at like a UT game or something.
Oh,
And
listen, and I'll say that I am going to be at the South Carolina game next week. So I'm going to try and get there early. Find some tailgates. If you guys see me, come up. Tell me how great I'm doing. Tell me how great we're doing on the podcast. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think we suck. I want to hear it all. Please do not, feel like you can't come up to me and say hi. I am very open, very extroverted. Would love to talk to any of y'all. So please look for me. Can't miss me. I'm pretty big. So, but yeah, can't wait for next week versus South Carolina, but we'll get into that.
Yes, we will. And we've talked about that too. I know we're going to try to get a game together. I don't know if I'm going to be over there this weekend. If I am, then I'm guessing I'll be with you, or we'll be bouncing around some tailgates. So yeah, we'd love to see some people. We have talked about going to a game together and then maybe posting up somewhere and just having people come through if they want. Because honestly, like, it feels weird for me saying that, like, yeah, come through, see us if you want. Like, no, that's not it at all. Like, I genuinely like to meet people and put faces with names. I'm even like that in the work world, and I love building relationships. So there's one of our fans he's great, man. He's been following us for a long time, and I need to and he and I were going to meet up at the Bowling Green game. It just didn't work out. I didn't get there early enough, so I definitely want to meet.
Was that something witty?
Yeah, something witty, but I forget. I need to look up his actual name, but yeah, his handle is something witty, and he's great, man. I love interacting with him. He cracks me up too. But anyways, let's jump into it. Go ahead and let's hear what you have for the offense.
So before we really get in, nitty gritty offense and defense, just want to throw out these numbers to start with. Okay, first downs 35 to 21. Total yards, 683 to 396. Rushing yards, 458 to 74. Penalties, 2 for 20 yards to 9 for 97 yards. And turnovers, 0 versus 2. That is a ass whooping. On all accounts, an ass whooping. And I absolutely love it, and I'm sure everyone else can agree with me. I literally was calling Reed on Saturday saying, dude, everything is working, and like all we're going to talk about is positive stuff on the podcast. And I had to really nitpick to find things, and I'm like, okay, here's what we can work on, here's what we can get better at, because those are the kind of things you want to find so that you do become better as a player, as a coach, as a team overall. But this game, man, I mean, when we were up 28, we had 14 plays for 28 points, 2 points a play. Like, that is insane to stat. Like, I don't think I've ever really seen that. Like, we were just working on all cylinders. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, my favorite thing is the turnovers and the penalties, because as we get later on in the games, those are what's going to be the difference in winning games when we're in a closer game. Only the 2 penalties, the positive, 2 or 3 what do we have, 3 turnovers? So
we had two picks.
Okay, 2 picks. So the +2 in turnovers. So that right there is what's going to change the game for potentially maybe even next week. Like, and what people have to understand, and like what we talk about it, how everything football is a week-to-week game, but it's also matchups. And there's also, we all know, everyone listening, I don't care whether you played football, baseball, basketball, tennis, golf, Xbox, whatever, video games, competitive stuff that you do, we all know that some days we have it and some days we don't. And some days you're feeling it. And there's days that I go out on a golf course and I'm like laughing because I'm like, what the hell am I doing any different this time? And I'm striping it. And then I come back out another time, I'm like laughing again, or with a little bit of being pissed off, but I'm like, I'm doing the exact same thing I did last time, and the result's different. It's completely different. And for some of you video gamers out there, you'll love this. There's days I get on and I'd be playing like Call of Duty, Fortnite, or whatever, and I'm running through, and I'm not very good, but I'm still like, I'm flowing well. And then another day you get on and you play 3 games and you're like, F this, I'm done, because I can't walk around the corner without getting blasted. So it's just like
getting that ass whooped.
Yeah. My KD's like, like 2-12, and I can't even breathe without like getting shot. But it's like, those are the days that Tennessee had yesterday where everything's flowing, everything's working well. You're striping your golf, your golf swing tempo is good. You're striping the ball. You're making your shots in basketball. Like, whatever you play, you're just flowing, and we've all been in that. And so that's a great thing. I also think Missouri had one of those days where just things weren't going to go right, and no matter how hard you fought, and no matter how, it just probably wasn't your day. I would really say the 2 plays that changed the game for me yesterday, I was going to say the Tylen Evans long run, but I reverted back and said, no, I think the Jeremy Banks pick was a really big game changer. And I also think the play call, the catch, and the execution of the Velas Jones screen.
On so third long.
I never thought the game was ever in contention, but Missouri does have a high-powered offense, and like, you never know with college football games or football in general. There's a lot of wild stuff that happens, but they had just scored, and they had a nice drive, 12 plays, I think 76 yards, and they go down, and then we're kind of sputtering on offense a little bit. It's 3rd and 12, and Heupel goes, you know what? Okay. He goes, I'm going to call this screen. And it's a nice little wide receiver. We used to call it like a wide receiver smoke screen. What's that?
A little tunnel screen.
Yeah, exactly. A little smoke screen, a little tunnel screen. And I liked it because it was like, okay, let's get the offense involved, or the offensive line involved, excuse me. Let's not do one of those 2v1, but really 1v2 where you throw it out to the outside, he catches it, and then Tillman's blocking his guy and another one. And it's kind of like, Velas Jones has to make a guy miss. I just thought it was a great play call at the right time. The throw wasn't great. And for people that, maybe didn't play receiver or whatever, that's a very hard catch to make.
I mean, he really scooped it off the ground. Yes, it was very close.
Yes. And that is I would rather catch something up high than down low any day of the week, especially I would rather probably catch something up high most of the time. On a screen, I think it stinks to go up and catch something high because you're probably going to get blasted. But something low where you have to concentrate, go down, and he's still thinking like, I got to get upfield. So I just thought it was an awesome, mature, smooth play. Go down and get it, catch the ball and secure it, read his blocks, get upfield, and then we score. And I felt like that was really the one, because say if they stop us and they go down and score and it's 28-17, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, maybe they extend the game a little bit longer, but I thought that was the nail in the coffin. And so that's kind of my opening statement.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think what you're saying about the screens, like sometimes it's better to get the guys that all they work on is blocking. Like wide receivers aren't the best blockers on your team. So, sometimes on those bubble screens and those outside screens, they get beat because they're just not great blockers. That's not what they're meant to do, really. But get Cade Mays coming out, your starting right tackle coming out and making a great block, that and just freeing up Velus Jones Jr., like that's what really sets it up. And I agree with you, because that was like one of our only third downs in the first half. I think we only had like 3 third downs in the first half. And it was the third and long. It was, if they stop us, big momentum swing, and we just scored a touchdown. Because, I mean, it could have easily been – I can't remember what the yardage was, but I don't even know if we were close enough for a field goal at that moment.
I don't think so. I don't think so. He may have actually gone for it on fourth down, because I think it was like that in between, don't punt, don't kick a field goal. But the thing that you're saying is like the big boys. First off, I like that you get him in the open field. You get Velus in the open field in the middle of the field. So it's kind of like the field's his oyster. The world's his oyster at that point. He can go right, left, up the middle, whatever. And the other thing is, too, getting the big boys, the big Huskies up there, they might not even really have to make any actual good blocks. Just him being able to work off them, around them, kind of using them as screens is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to go down there and decleat somebody, just getting their big butts in the way, because as a defensive back or whatever, and I see you in the open field, I'm like, all right, like if I go around, the runner's going to cut off this way. If I, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a cat and mouse game. So anyways, yeah, I like the play call.
Yeah, I did too. So let's jump into offense. Obviously, it's what we always first talk about. But some of the things I saw, the first play, just coming out cutting. We literally haven't cut on any play this entire year. In the very first play of the game, we just have all of our offensive line cut them. Like, that is such a tone setter. Just be like, hey, this is not going to be easy for y'all. Like, we're not just going to let you tee off. We're going to cut you on the first play. That automatically slows down the defense. Another impressive thing that Heupel talked about in his halftime interview is I discussed it on last week's podcast. Missouri, 4-3 defense, 4 down front. Very easy to read, very easy to understand your assignments versus that 4 down front. And I love blocking that. What does Missouri do? They come out in a 3-3.
3 front, yeah.
Yeah, they have a 3-man front with 3 linebackers. One of the linebackers, I think, was probably a hybrid DN, just kind of standing up back there. So they completely changed what they were doing defensively so that they could deal with this offense and hopefully stop it and slow down the run game. So what an adjustment by the offensive line, by just the offense in general, of understanding, okay, well, we just got to shift our blocking schemes over. We need to have good communication on where our double teams are at. And I just thought that was really impressive, because that is a very difficult thing to do. Just have something you didn't even practice show up, because I'm sure they showed the 3-man front on, big passing downs where they rush 3, drop 8, but you don't expect it on first and second down. So just for Missouri to throw that out and then our offensive line to adjust, very impressed with that. I mean, the more and more I watch Hooker, the more and more I'm impressed with him. And it just seems that he's getting better each week. He's starting to understand who he is, know where he needs to place the ball. I mean, just an absolute beautiful ball to Peyton on that first touchdown versus cover 1. I was so happy to see that. I'm so happy that they have this connection. And talk about immediate impact from transfers, both of those guys, just immediately impacting our offense, impacting the game. No one really – we even talked about it with Javonte Payton, is like, he can be a good third guy. He doesn't have to be the number one, because we had Velus Jones, or we have Velus Jones, we have Jalen Hyatt. And, I mean, Peyton's turned into Hooker's favorite target. And I absolutely love to see that. I also think the running backs did such a great job with their man. And I'm not talking about in pass pro, I'm talking about in the run game. Because when you're running the ball, you can only block so many people with the linemen you have. And there's always one guy that is the running back's responsibility. He is supposed to
make him miss,
truck him, take care of him. Like, hey, we have 11, they have 11. So you're going to have one guy. And I thought the running backs did an amazing job of making their guy miss, making sure he missed the tackle and getting those extra yards. And like the long Tyon Evans touchdown, like his guy took a bad angle. It was the safety ended up being his guy on that play. And he took a bad angle, and Tyon had a good cut and was able to just take off downfield. And Jabari Small, before he went out, had a couple of those where he just stuck his foot in the ground and made the guy miss. And it was just great to see. And it is evident that this offensive line is starting to figure things out. Now, I would say that it has to do a little bit with the Missouri defense and the skill of their players and them not really playing well, but also the fact that your running backs don't get touched until into the second level, 7-8 yards downfield is the first time they're getting touched, or like Tyon's touchdown, never got touched until the very end. That is a testament to, you're creating huge holes for these running backs. So I was very happy with the offensive line and what they were able to do. What about you? What were some things that you saw during the game that you thought?
Offensively, I instead of interrupting you, I just took my notes. So and because I wanted to respond. First off, I love Hooker too. I'm not going to compare the two in a certain way, because Josh Dobbs, and I'll admit, like I got really frustrated with Dobbs when his first little bit, and I think I've said this on the pod before, but I had a buddy was like, bro, you don't know how Josh Dobbs was so good for us. And I went back and I was like, you're right. Like, I didn't appreciate him as much as maybe I should have until, his senior year or whatever. But Hendon has a little bit of that in him. He has a little bit of that Josh Dobbs in him.
I tell you what, I appreciate him because he saved my butt from a few sacks my last year.
Yeah. No, like I said, I've really, really gone back over the past year and grown such a great appreciation for that guy, for Dobbs. But like I was saying, I see a lot of that in Hendon, and it makes me really think that we should be 5-1 and potentially 6-1 going to having Ole Miss coming to town. I think next week, I don't think we're going to blow the doors off South Carolina like we just did in Missouri. Maybe I'm wrong. But I still think we win. I don't know if we have a game like that. If we do, then I'm going to be, hard as a rock, fired up, excited.
Dude, hey, listen, if we have another game like that versus South Carolina, the over-under for us versus Ole Miss is going to be like 80 points.
Yeah, I know. So, but just think about it. If Hendon starts, I think we beat Pitt. And I think we only have one loss. But like I said, potentially, 6-1 against Ole Miss before we have the terrible stretch. And since I'm talking about the stretch, I would trade anything to get to Kentucky coming here next week. That's the biggest game of my year the rest of this year. I can't stand them after they beat Florida last night. I want them riding high, flying high, and I
was thinking the exact same thing.
I would do anything if we could get them coming in here next week. But no, we have to play South Carolina, Ole Miss, and then we have to go through the juggernaut of Georgia and Bama before we go to Lexington. And I'm just like, golly, I don't want to be banged up. I want to be healthy. I want to be good mojo before we go up there and play those freaking losers in Lexington. So
I was like, this is priming up for us to absolutely crush their hopes of getting to the SEC championship. Like, I will love that if somehow they have to beat us to get to the SEC championship and we beat them and Georgia goes or Florida goes. Like, it will make me so happy. It'd
be hilarious. It's like when we sweep them in basketball. There's just like nothing better. But so anyways, back to offense. I love what Hendon's doing. I really do think we'd be undefeated or one loss if he was our starter the whole year.
Shoot, we might be ranked if we only had one loss.
Potentially. And then offensive line, what's there to complain about? I mean, I thought they did really well. I do think it's funny that you talk about Missouri coming out in that 3 front. Now, they did go back to the 4-man front in the second half.
After we scored 35 points.
Correct. It was way too late for them to do that. And I think that is poor coaching on Missouri, knowing what we want to do, knowing like you need to take our run away and make Hendon and our receivers beat you in the air and make our offensive line pass block. But everybody in the NFL and all of football, but really college and the NFL are such a copycat league. And it cracks me up because Arkansas was getting a lot of pub and playing a lot. And I'll be honest, I bet on them yesterday. I teased them up because I didn't think they were going to win the game at all. I thought they would keep it close with Georgia, but that was an impressive win by Georgia. But everyone's copycatting that 3-man front that Arkansas has been doing. Ole Miss did it yesterday, and they talked about doing it. And then Missouri came out in it. And so it's a copycat league. It obviously doesn't work out all the time and things like that. But, so I was happy with how the offensive line played. I think we only gave up maybe 1 sack, and it was Tyon. I think he got caught up behind the line and behind Jacob Warren, and then he realizes it too late. But that's okay. I think things happen. They're going to make plays. I want to talk about the wide receivers. And this kind of ties into a thing as a whole about this coaching staff, and I have not figured it out yet. I have not figured out if they're trying to get reps for people, if they are trying to get reps for people to solidify who the bona fide starters and who they can count on are, or get reps for people because they're younger and they want to work up depth. But it seems like at a lot of positions each week you see some different people at receiver. Once again, call TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, because Hyatt is still missing. First off, Callaway was nowhere to be found this week.
I literally kept like trying to rewind and watch if he was out in the field, because I remember he was your like player to watch. Like, could he bounce back after a drop and everything like that? And I literally didn't see him.
Right. And I don't think this coaching staff, it did not play him because of that drop this week. I don't. And I think it would maybe he didn't have a good week of practice. I don't know what it is. And that's the thing that I'm getting at, because they did it with a lot of our D-line. They've been doing it with the linebackers. They don't really do it with the DBs much since the first game. And like the running backs, and this ties me into my running backs, is like, I texted you. I was like, bro, is Jalen Wright injured? Like, I tried to go on Twitter and find an injury report. I was like, where's Jalen Wright? Like, he was our main lead in Pittsburgh. Or was it Pittsburgh he went into? Was like, I
think so. I think that was the game that Tyon and Small both kind of went out.
Right. So and then yesterday it's like Laneith Whitehead comes in and like plays good, runs well. But I'm like, okay, is this because he's practicing better and he's grasping and they think he's better than Jalen Wright? And then, later in the game, you see my dude, little Marcus Pierce, the walk-on, which I was pumped. I was so happy he scored. I was happy for him to score. But that's the whole thing I'm not understanding about this. And I would love to ask Heupel and catch him in a moment of honesty and be like, what is all this rotation? Is it from practice habits? Is it trying to get other people? Is it trying to learn your bona fide starters? What is it? But once again, running backs, Tyon Evans, he's a stud. He's very good. I hated that for Jabari Small because I thought he was running really well.
It looked like possibly a shoulder or maybe a collarbone. I don't know. I mean, I remember the play. He really landed pretty hard on the turf. I'm hoping it's just like, hey, we were up 28 points or 21 points, like, no need for you to go back in.
Oh, yes.
Like, we're not going to risk it. It wasn't like you're just, you can't play.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was a closer game, they would have put him back in. But because like the Tyon Evans touchdown got us to 21 and then pick by Banks and then touchdown immediately, like one play, and we're at 28. So it was like, 2 plays, 2 touchdowns in, a matter of minutes. So I'm thinking maybe that had to do with it.
I think that's 100% it. I definitely think it was. There's no reason for you to go back in the game, but I just wish he would have gotten an opportunity to run against them because he would have gotten some more. It's still the Tylen Evans show in fans' eyes and stuff, and deserves all the credit. But I think Jabari is still a very good running back, and I wish he would have, because he was running hard, he was running physical, he had some good cuts and moves. So, anyways, but I'm never worried about the running backs. It just was kind of weird why that rotation. But anyways, and then receivers. I mean, yesterday was a lot of Peyton, Jones, and Tillman, and that was a lot of who was running. I feel bad for Tillman. I swear, Cedric Tillman. If I see Cedric Tillman have to reach, hand up, and kind of when you're running, everyone
and get crushed in the ribs.
No, not that. No, I'm talking about he's running and he's running as fast as he can, and he starts to reach out to try to catch it, and then people know when you reach out to try to catch it, and then you're kind of like you realize where you're going, you can't get there. And I swear I've seen Cedric Tillman do that like 5 times this year because he always gets overthrown. And I don't know if these quarterbacks are overthrowing him because he's just not as fast as some of these other guys. But
well, I will say on that one, there was a PI.
Yes, I know.
So still, I think that's what happened, like slowed him down. But yes, I do feel bad for Cedric. He's just funny. Like, I want a deep ball so bad, and he can't get it.
I know. It's just funny because it was like the steps, like, oh, you know, and But I thought he made a hell of a catch over there on the sideline. That was an NFL type catch. That was a hell of a catch over there on the sideline. I was glad to see him get in the end zone later in the game on that little seam. By the way, I just realized this. I didn't even take notes on it, but that play design, I went back and watched it a couple times. Just the little nuance of it was so awesome, and it was. I can't remember if he would. I think he was inside, but then they had Princeton fans, and they were kind of stacked. I think somewhat close. And Princeton fan kind of comes out, and he goes outside, and then Tillman kind of comes in. But what Tillman does is when he comes in, and people watching on YouTube, he comes in, he starts running his route, and he starts kind of bananing out a little bit.
Yeah,
and just so that Hooker can hold the safety, and then he bends it back in. And I don't know if that was just him being an athlete or the coaching and those little nuances of stuff and I just know it from playing receiver and being coached up and being around. But like, hey, once you get inside and you get your inside, I know I'm coming back in. Work that corner a little bit to the outside if you can. And then also it keeps your distance from the safety before you do make your last cut in. And it's not even like a post route. It's a seam, but the way that you maneuver your body. But anyways, I got excited because I literally just remembered watching that a bunch yesterday. I thought the play design was awesome. Anyways,
I thought there was a lot of different play designs that I loved. One like on the first drive, there was. Like, I honestly, when I first saw it, thought Hendon just was struggling with the read, like wasn't reading it properly. But then I watched it again, and it literally looked like it was designed for the running back to be his lead blocker.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love that. You know, at first I was like, oh, he messed it up. He should have given it. But then it just looked like Jabari was blocking for him. And I absolutely loved it, that design. I love just snap to Hooker and it's outside zone and he just starts taking off. Because we saw that in an earlier game, but like, I love that play design. I thought as the game progressed, he got even better with his reads of the defensive end, of that read man and understanding when to pull it, when to give it, which I think there were times in games before where he did not make the right decision. So I was happy to see that he's doing that. Another one. Oh, I just wanted to call this out on the second touchdown. They ran the same play 3 plays in a row to get there. It was just a nice counter, a nice pull from Spraggins around the side, and they ran it 3 plays in a row to Evans and scored a touchdown. And I was like, that's how you demoralize a team. That's how you just send a message like, I don't give a crap what you're in. I don't give a crap what you think. We're going to run the same play. Good luck stopping it.
I think that works really well too with Heupel's offense. And
fast pace.
I've seen coaches do it before. Kiffin's done it. And I know tons of coaches have done this, but I'm saying the ones that I've actually been watching and seeing. Kiffin's done it. Norvell did it when he was at Memphis, and then he's done it at Florida State. Hugh Freeze has definitely done it. I've seen cousin Eddie, Dan Mullen do it. So the fact when you're going fast like that, and the D line and linebackers just worry about getting lined up. They're not, and then they're just reacting. Well, if that's the case, then they're already basically beat. So yeah, get on the ball, go fast, hand it off, run. Yeah. Get on the ball, go fast, hand it off. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's so demoralizing. And I actually did put this, I did write this stuff down. So it was the good combo route by Peyton. And Peyton was the one, it was his, not the Tillman catch, but it was the Peyton one where he did a really good job stemming to the outside and then coming back in since the safety was held by Cedric Tillman. So that was the one on Javonte Payton's catch where Tillman comes across, which holds the safety in the middle, and Peyton releases, gets to the outside, and the Bananas backs in. So anyways, love that. And little stuff like that's just so cool to see. I'm trying to run through the rest of some of my stuff that I wrote down just for some of the offensive stuff.
I saw a play design that I really liked too, where they pulled Cade around into the opposite A gap and had him as the lead blocker on the play. And I loved it. I thought it was a great design and a great way of blocking. So we'll say front side, backside, as front side is where the ball is aimed for, backside's on, backside. The front side blockers, the tackle and guard, would just man up on their guys. And I think they pulled this out because it's versus a 4-man front. So this works on a 4-man front, not a 3-man. So they didn't have it in the first half, but they man up on their guys. The center and backside guard double up to the backside linebacker. They leave the defensive end unblocked because Hooker's reading him. So if he does squeeze down on the running back he's handing it off to, he takes it himself. And Cade pulls around and leads up in the A gap on the opposite side up to the front side linebacker. Awesome play design, works great versus that 4-man front with 2 linebackers. Once you spread it out, you only have 2 in the box with nose and 3 technique as the defensive tackles because there's that gap, that A gap right there that's open. And just using an athletic tackle like Cade to lead up to the linebacker and be your lead blocker. I've never ran that play, and I played football for 16 years. I never ran that play, but it's an awesome play design. And I would have loved to run it as a tackle when I was playing at UT, just pulling around and getting up in the A gap. Feel like I was a guard again. So yeah. I love to see that. I think it's just, like you said, it's so cool to see what Heupel can do with his offense and see the kind of things that he teaches these guys up. He strengthens their game by letting them understand how offense is played. And it's just awesome to see.
Well, we'll see. It's a good time for him to say it after what he put up yesterday. He did, but he said, "Hey, we're just scratching the surface, just tip of the iceberg." Okay, we'll see if that's the case. Which I don't have a reason not to believe him, but keep throwing up those points and keep winning. So, all right, let's go into defense because I felt like the defense got majorly overshadowed yesterday, which is fine. The offense did have a hysterical, great day. You go first on what you saw defensively.
So I did want to mention some things that I thought needed to be fixed on offense just before we jump into defense.
Go ahead. Sure.
You had mentioned it earlier, but I think Hendon, and I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, but a lot of low balls, especially on the outside, like screens, the bubble screens, the one to Velus Jones, like just when a guy stands and shows his hands like ready, he always throws it low. And I'm just like, hey, like that is very difficult for the wide receiver. Like get it to his chest so he can make a catch and start going. Like you said, he doesn't have to think about it. So that I thought Ollie Lane, who was playing at left guard, really, I just need more out of him. There were times where he got beat on pass pro. There were times where he really didn't get to the second level like he should. And, his linebacker he's supposed to block made the tackle. And I love Ollie. I trained Ollie in high school. I've known him since he was 16 years old. and great kid. I just, just going to say it because I want him to be better. That's it. Like we said before, like nothing personal. I just saw these things. You need to work on them. He's going to see him in film. He's going to understand that. But I mean, I will say Ollie didn't start pass blocking people until college. Like he went to Gibbs, they ran a wing tee, and he was in a 4-point stance. So like, I remember he came to me for training. I had to teach him like, hey, this is how you should be in a 3-point stance. So he was a little bit behind in that realm, but he's got a great body on him, great build. And I'm excited for him, but I just need him to play a little bit better.
Are you saying play better majority or mainly in pass pro, or you just said second level. So run blocking, you just want to see him get to second level a little bit more or quicker? Yeah,
just get to the second level a little bit more. There was a specific run where it was a design run for Hendon, and he took it outside. And the thing that Ollie messed up on, it was a double team up to the linebacker, and he got too involved with the down lineman to where his shoulders turned. So he came off the ball, hit the down lineman, his shoulders turned, and linebacker starts running. You can't make up ground. That guy's faster than you. And that's something that you're taught as offensive lineman, keep your shoulders square, because as soon as you turn them, you're going to get beat. You're slower than everybody else out in the field. That's just what it is. So I think it's just like, hey, just better your technique and you're going to be able to get to the linebacker. It's going to be okay. So it was just like stuff like that, where like that linebacker ended up making the tackle on Hooker. So it's just like, okay, we got to clean that up. There was pass pro issues where a guy, swim move or chop rip and beat Ollie, and it didn't end up being anything. There was like a running back to help chip, or Hendon was able to get rid of the ball. But hey, man, like Missouri's defense is not that good. This stuff is going to happen to you versus the Kentucky defense. It's going to be a little different. So I just want that to be cleaned up. And then we can maybe talk about this at the end, up to you, but taking out the starters at a certain time, that worries me still. And I don't know, because you were kind of talking about it with, what is he doing rotating the guys? Like, what is he trying to accomplish? And I'm trying to think the same thing. What is he trying to accomplish leaving the guys in, leaving those guys to keep playing? I'm just like, please just keep them safe.
If we had done this podcast directly after the game yesterday or last night, that would have been my opening statement. It's the first time I've like jokingly, but seriously, like yelled out loud to Heupel. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, get Hendon out. I texted you. I sent a tweet about it. I texted a couple other buddies that I'm in a group with. I'm like, dude, it's third quarter and there's 8 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go. I'm like, this game's over. Like, what are we doing? So I was like, all right, Reed, it's still third quarter. He still wants to run his offense. I was like, let him get a couple more possessions in.
And honestly, too, it's like how many plays have they had?
Right.
Like, they really not had that many plays to feel for anything.
Right. And so then I'm watching, I'm like, all right, let him get a little bit more into the third quarter. And then it's getting later in the third quarter. And then it's like about to be the fourth. And I'm like, Hendon's still running. And I'm like, bro, like, get this man out of the game. Like, I didn't want to see Tyon Evans come back in. And that's why I was like, where's Jalen Wright? Like, get Whitehead back in there. Get Pierce. Like, the game's over. The game is over. They're not going to win. I wanted some other offensive linemen to get in, that particularly because of getting reps and trying to get depth. Defensively, I wanted to see D linemen rotated. Can't really rotate the linebackers much. They could have maybe gotten like P.A. Garland in, or a couple other people like that. But I just didn't want Hendon. I didn't want Tyon Evans, and that was the first thing that's really pissed me off about him, about Heupel. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually have forgotten about it. But I was pretty bummed about it yesterday.
Yeah, I was worried. Let's say that, like, mostly just worried. Like, listen, Hendon has gone out of the game last week, and it happened to him before where he got really hit and got taken out of the game. It's like, I do not want that to happen again with how he runs. his spins still like give me heart attacks sometimes. So yeah, I was definitely concerned about that too, and that's why I wanted to mention it before we went into defense, because I think it's a lot harder just to put second team guys in on defense. We really don't have that much depth across the board.
Well, and I'll say this too, even if we're getting beat badly by a team, get those guys out. Get those guys out. It's a 1 week season each week, and when the game's in wraps, get them out. We got other games to play. We're on a road to, we want to get bowling, and that's what we want to do. So don't let Hendon get his head taken off by Bama or Georgia or whatever.
Yes. Yes, exactly. All right, so let's jump into defense. Very impressed with the defense. I mean, Missouri's offense was averaging near 40 points, 400 something yards of offense, and for our defense to hold them to 10 points, really. I mean, the kickoff return isn't on the defense. It's very impressive of them, and they were seen as really the weak point, going into this game. You really thought it as like, oh, this is going to be a shootout. Both of these offenses are so high powered. And our defense came to play, man. They freaking stepped up. I loved how they started. Banks with a sack on that play. True cover one defense, manned up across the board with one safety deep. Banks reads it, realizes, hey, there's no one for me to cover. I'm gonna go and try and get a sack, which is just like smart play by him. Go get a sack. Don't stay back there and stand there and do nothing. Go get a sack. So love that from him. Banks was my guy to watch on defense, and he played amazing. No penalties, no personal fouls. He had an interception, a sack. He had great tackles, great fill on certain runs. So very happy with his performance. Other guys, Christian Charles, where the heck did you come from, man? Like, almost had that pick on our first drive. Just a freshman coming in and almost making an impact like that.
Oh, let me
hope,
jump in.
Right?
Let me jump in here real quick. So, if you remember when we went to practice, I love Charles and I loved Tamarian McDonald. I love both of them at safety. I thought they both played well at practice. All the accounts from everything, they had good fall camp. I thought they played well in the orange and white game. I was happy to see that he got the start, but I never saw him again after that first drive.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I really wish he would have gotten that pick for him and his confidence, and he should have had it. Blasted him right in the chest. But what's weird to me was why he got pulled after one possession, because I don't know if he got injured or what, because Theo was still down at his regular star nickel money position. And literally the second possession for the rest of the game is when Danico Slaughter came in and Theo Jackson went back to safety. So, yes, I was happy to see see Tristan Charles out there, but I don't know what the hell happened to him after that one possession. So I mean,
I have no idea, because I was even thinking on the play, because the ball was like, it was thrown at like 7 yards, and I was thinking on the play, why is he all the way up there? Like, there was already two guys in coverage like around the ball, and they didn't really have a chance to guard it. Like, I was thinking like, okay, was he supposed to be up there? Like, was he supposed to be deep? And he was just like, I'm going to go get this ball. So I don't know. I don't know if that played into it. I don't know if I don't even, I just don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe he was supposed to be up. Like, who knows? It's very difficult to tell from the TV copy where everybody's supposed to be, especially on defense, because it just like hones in on the offensive line and quarterbacks at all times and then pans to the defense. You can't really tell. But just to see plays out of those guys makes me feel good for the future.
Yeah, I still really like the kid. I still really like him. I think he's going to be a good player here.
Yeah, and like that hit by McDonald, I immediately tweeted at Kiki Chisholm and was like, "Hey, did you enjoy your McDonald's?"
Yeah, dude, he's Tamarian's dog, bro. He's got a chance to be pretty special, I think.
Yeah, so, I think Slaughter, like you just mentioned, making some great plays coming up. Wearing 0 now. He's a freaking beast. Love to see it from them. First and second down dominance. That is what this game was about. It wasn't about third down. It was about first and second down, getting them behind the chains, stopping the run. Being able to have tackles for loss is what really set up this defense for success. I'd love to see that. The 3 Bs, and I'm going to say this because every week I've been talking about, hey, how can we get, Byron to rush more? What kind of formations can we put in to really take advantage of that? They put a 3 down front with a 3 Bs, Barron, Blakely, and Byron as our 3 rushers, and I absolutely love it. I think that's a great defensive scheme. Your best 3 rushers, put them on the field. In no way do I think – because sometimes when you do that, when you put the 3-man front in, sometimes you do that, you're like, oh, we're susceptible to the run. Like, yes, these guys are good rushers, but they're not good run protectors. Heck no. Barron is as big as I am. I mean, dude's huge. Blakely's a big boy, and Byron's strong as heck. So in no way do I feel apprehensive about people running the ball versus that either. So I love that formation. I love to see that. It was the first time we saw it. I was very excited about it.
Well, the other thing is that's your very, very prototypical third and long, third and medium, definite pass play. Bring those guys in and let them pin their ears back.
Yeah, so exactly. I thought Byron played really well. I know he was your guy to watch. And I thought he had some good tackles. I thought he had some good pressure. He wanted a sack so bad. He was dying to get a sack. He had 2 times where Bays got rid of the ball at the very last second, or he would have had one. But I love the fact that I'm seeing him more on the field, that I'm seeing him rush more, that I'm seeing him get after the quarterback, cause pressure. That's all I've been clamoring for the past few weeks. So glad to see that now. The Banks interception, great play by Banks, great way to read the quarterback's eyes, flow across the field with the wide receiver. Honestly, caused by the blitz of Beasley and hitting the quarterback and causing that. And, it was funny. The announcers are like, Banks looking like a running back out there. I'm like, yeah, he does. Because
I think he said that on purpose. I'm
hoping that's what happened. We'll get into the stuff that they need to work on later. But one thing I did want to say is props to Beatty, this running back from Missouri. I mean, Buddy has been a hard worker. He's been a really good player for Missouri for a good amount of time. And the first half, I just felt so bad for him. I was like, this offensive line is not helping him at all. They were letting guys go. They weren't even blocking Slaughter. They weren't even blocking Theo. It was just guys getting straight into the backfield, and Beatty plays every snap. They would never bring in another running back until they were down 28 points. It's props to him. He's a great player. And the fact that he kind of had to deal with that adversity and just all right, I just got to keep pounding. Eventually it'll break. So I just wanted to say, I appreciate that out of a running back. As an offensive lineman, I appreciate out of a running back, because if I'm him, I'm going to that offensive line hey, y'all, what the hell are you doing? You're getting me killed over here. I need you to step up. So I just wanted to say that about Beatty. And then we can get into, more stuff correction-wise, but let's hear what you have to think. What did you see out there? What do you think about this defense performance?
All right, sit back and get you a nice get your popcorn ready, as Kiffin says, like an idiot.
Yeah, what an
loser.
Idiot.
But
I'm so glad he said that, and it got thrown back in his face. And I'm so glad, not glad, I love Sam Pittman, but I'm glad that Arkansas got a little taste of what it's like. And people can see oh, Arkansas and Ole Miss, they're so much better than us. Why can't we be where they are? Listen, people.
They're a year ahead of us. Their coaches have been there 2 years.
Yeah, their coaches have been there 2 years. They're also, it's they're not. You don't understand. Texas A&M is not that good of a team. Like Arkansas beat them, but they're really
You're
not
welcome,
that good.
by the way. You're welcome, by the way. I told you guys that back in August. So
That's true. Texas A&M is really not that good of a team. And I think Ole Miss's number 12 spot is a little overzealous. And it's like, hey, welcome to what Tennessee has to play every year. Arkansas,
Agreed.
guess what? You don't have to play Georgia every year. We do. Ole Miss, you don't have to play Georgia or Florida every year. We do. We have to play Bama and Georgia and Florida every year. We are never considered back until we beat 2 out of the 3. So we have a lot higher standard than a lot of the other SEC teams, just like where they're at, like trying to come back from where we've been. So I just love it. Just a little taste, like, hey, it's a lot harder than you think it is.
So I want to talk quick, but before I get into defense, one of the first notes I took was the turnout by the Missouri fans. And I'm like, how can Tennessee ever lose a recruit to Missouri? Like, the place was half empty, and half the people that were there were orange. I thought it was a good turnout for Vol fans, like whether they traveled or lived close, and that's the one game they can get to. But I was just like, we should never lose a recruit to them, like just because of the passion. I've never been to their stadium. I've never been to their complex and stuff, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that it's nowhere is good or better than what we have. And so I just thought that was funny. I was like you said, Eli Drinkwitz is going to probably have a lot more time in Missouri than someone's going to have at Tennessee. But anyways, okay. Defensively, Roman Harris got the start. So defensive line is always something I'm watching and looking at and thinking about. And I love to see how they rotate. And once again, Tyler Byron has been really good this year. He didn't play a ton yesterday, and I don't know. It's because they're getting other people's snaps, and maybe he's been nicked up, and they know that they're going to need him because I don't think his play has ever reflected not deserving snaps. But like Roman Harrison got the start, like you said, Byron Young already played a good amount. My man Caleb I'm telling you, he keeps flashing. He makes 1 or 2 good plays a game. And it's just funny to think back when we went to practice and we saw him to what he's doing now. And good on him. But I thought Roman Harrison played well. I thought he ran the line of scrimmage really well. I thought he just makes good plays. I see him flashing. I did take 3 more pictures this week for defensively. 2 of them were pre-snap that I loved. And I'm going to walk through those and explain those after I finish talking about some other stuff. One of them was Matthew Butler's just pure dominance. He gets great push. He has great power, and a guy tried to reach him, and I think he was the right defensive tackle, and they were trying to run right. And I don't know whether it was the guard or center was trying to reach him and had 0 chance. The guy, and this is a Missouri offensive lineman. So, Missouri's not bad at offensive line over the years, by the way. Like they're usually pretty decent. Oh. And so this guy tries to reach Matthew Butler. Matthew hits him and extends. And the picture I have, you can see a full extension where Matthew Butler's bodied him into the backfield, got great penetration, holding him with his left arm, right arm free, and he's there to make the play. And then actually Elijah Simmons ran down the line, fell on the guy, made the tackle. So I would hate to be that running back.
I think I really do think, before you step into the next one, just talking about that stiff arm you were saying, I really do think that is a major coaching point from Rodney Garner, because I saw that multiple times from different defensive linemen where it's like the zone or whatever is coming your way and they immediately punch and then made that one arm extension and really like pushed them back another yard and kept that arm free. Like it is, I think it is a major coaching point. And I like that. That is something that sucks as an offensive lineman, because a single arm is going to be longer than 2. Like if I'm trying to get 2 hands on you, I cannot reach as far as your single arm can reach and get that extension on me. So when you do, and when you get it in my chest and lift up in my neck, there's a lot of stuff I can't do anything.
Well, the other major thing defensively that we're taught is we're wanting to keep the outside free, our outside arm free. If we're locked up, we're not in a position to make a play. But when I'm stabbing here And DBs and linebackers do it too. So it's not just the offensive line thing, but when you engage and you stab and you hold, well, if someone comes running by me, I still got half my body. I still got a shoulder, an arm, and I could throw my head into it, keep my head on the outside. So, it was great to see. Byron, I thought Byron played really well. I loved the play where he came up, shot, extended, and then he didn't freak out. Like, he came so under control. He got in the backfield and he broke down. And he was just basically looking at the running back like, all right, whatever way you go, I'm here. Like, I'm just as athletic as you are. So you go right, I'm go left, like you're done. You're dead in the water. So great play.
He did that on another like boot where like the tight end did like the fake block and tried to go. He didn't like freak out, go down the line. He was like, oh, I see the quarterback, tossed him and went towards him and didn't miss. He like broke down and made it a pressure. So
the only time that I think, and I don't think it's that he gets out of control. And it happens with a lot of rushers, but he comes so hard off the edge and he takes himself out of the play because the quarterback just steps up. But that happens to all rushers at some point in time during a game. But they get a couple more stunts. One stunt where they brought him back in and Buddy came through the middle, extended both arms and got pressure up the middle, like he's daggum, Fletcher Cox or, one of these really good, Chris Jones or my man, Jeffrey Simmons, let's go. But anyway, so thought that was good stuff. And I hated to see Elijah. At first I was like, oh gosh, I hope he didn't get rolled up on. He got cut. So he got cut block and hopefully he's okay. I'm just glad it wasn't a roll up because I was nervous about that when they say they're carting him off. Hopefully big man just got a bad, little ankle nick or whatever, and he'll come back from it. But anyways, very happy with how I saw the defensive line. I thought they extended the offensive line and the line of scrimmage back all the time. All right, now I'm going to get into linebackers. I was very happy with what I saw from these linebackers. These linebackers, every one of them, when they see it and when they trust it and they go, they all bring a pop. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Beasley hurt himself. He was back in pass coverage. They throw it out to the right. He goes out there. He's running under control. And then right when he gets in his perimeter, when he knows he's going to take a shot, bam, and he blasted Buddy. It was just a receiver, but he took his legs out and clocked him good. So that was a good hit. They all trust their eyes. Like you already brought it up. Banks got there, saw it, and shot like he was out of a cannon. Like people don't understand. That's the type of cliche coaching stuff that coaches say, when you see it, shoot out of a cannon. And some linebackers and some players just don't do it. It doesn't mean that they don't make the play. They can still be a decent player in their own right. But when you see guys that fire out like that, it's awesome to see and it's impressive. I think
the half second of hesitation can really make a difference.
Yeah, huge difference. And I thought Solomon Page does it well. I thought all three of them do it well or did it well yesterday. I think all of them do it well. I think Juwan Mitchell when he's in there. So Solomon Page, when he comes on a blitz, he kind of came up, his two little chop steps, like making sure there was nothing. And then when he saw it, he went and made a nice hit or a sack or whatever. So linebackers, happy with everything. Okay, DBs. And I'm trying to go quick before I get into either some actual plays or some of these other plays. DBs, I'm going to tell you right now, I would pay a legitimate, probably $500, maybe $1,000. I would write a check to the University of Tennessee and I would say, I want to come practice with the team. And I want to, as a 30-year-old, I want to get an opportunity coach against South Alabama or Vandy. I want to play the dime position because that position, that nickel, I didn't mean dime, I meant the nickel or the star or the whatever, that position. And I was thinking yesterday, I was like, I wonder if Theo's pissed that he has to go back to safety. because like you get all the blitzing you get to do, how aggressive you get to be on the run game. On if it's man-to-man, that's never super fun. But when you're in zone and you kind of have that curl, flat, hook zone, like I love playing up on the line of scrimmage. And if I was in pass coverage, I love the curl flat or the hook curl or the flat because you can be kind of sneaky and aggressive and you can kind of bait in that. And I'm telling you, I just think, and so Danico Slaughter, it was great to see him. And nothing against Theo Jackson, because I'm not saying it's just whoever's in that position is going to make plays. That's not the case at all. Theo you can be in position. And as we all know, the coaches can put you in position. You still got to make the plays.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was great to see Danico. And I remember hearing before, during fall and summer camp that everyone was saying, hey, this is a tough battle. This is like one of the toughest battles on the field of who's going to start Theo Jackson to Danico Slaughter. Well, think about how good Theo's been. So if Theo's been this good and it was a tough battle, then I saw it with my eyes yesterday. Danico played awesome. First off, I love 0. 3 is a good number, but 0, he looks like a dog. It looks so swaggy. But he was aggressive. He made good open field tackles. He took blocks on well. One of the plays that I took a picture of, what I think is so cool about what we do with that nickel position is you get to split the difference of a wide receiver and the offensive line. Sometimes you're going to be head up, and then you either actually are still in zone, coming on a delayed blitz, or man-to-man. Or if you don't really have much to your side, or you only have one receiver to your side, then you're basically standing up as a linebacker. One of the plays that he made a tackle in the backfield, he was at linebacker and then walked up to the side like he's daggum, TJ Watt coming off the edge. Seriously, like he walked up and had his foot like he was an outside linebacker. So they get to put those guys in so many ways, and he has that nose, it seems like, and that aggressiveness like a Theo to come up, make plays, and make open field tackles. So great to see that. Great to see that. And then let me go through some of these notes real quick just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's see.
I smile every time now that you say my notes.
Well, I've been trying to say what I write down now, so people can't just say my notes. Okay, I think I've pretty much said everything that I had.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few things that, like I said in the beginning, like you had to very much nitpick to find like things to improve on.
Listen, almost everything I'm saying defensively, I'm really happy about. I think the only negative was I was saying Byron maybe takes himself out of the place, but that's because he's a freak athlete and it's not even a big deal. Yeah. Okay, so I pretty much hit all the notes that I wanted to say defensively, and I want to talk about these 3. So I will send you these in order. The first one, again, it was a lot like the alignment that we showed against Florida, a lot. So short side of the field, they have 2 receivers stacked. Okay, that's fine. We have Alontae Taylor over. We have Banks, who kind of comes and splits the difference. And once again, they got Tyler Byron splitting that difference. So I just think it's a really good pre-snap. And the other thing they did is Danico didn't have a slot to his side. So he's basically, if you saw here and you looked at this picture that it'll be on YouTube, you might say, okay, well, there's Beasley at linebacker. Who the hell's that other linebacker to the right of him? And you're like, oh, wait, that's Danico, and Jeremy Banks is over here, close side, short side of the field that he's walking up. So I love that pre-snap. I just think we're in good position. I like that. You can bring different pressures and different blitzes from there. The next one was a lot of the same, but what I liked here, and the reason this second one is a picture that I took. You got 2 to the outside. Okay. You got your corner and you got Danico. Okay, great. They could be playing zone. They could be playing man. You can't really tell. You got your 2 linebackers. Okay, I think it's Page and Beasley. Okay, great. You got your 4 down linemen, all their hands down. Well, then you're looking, you're like, who's this guy standing over here? Like, okay, I guess there's not a receiver. Oh yeah, there's not. So there's a tight end, and it was Kenneth George. And I'm like, okay, so Kenneth George is way up, like basically an outside linebacker. So maybe he's in man on the tight end. Maybe we're in zone, and they run it. And guess who's back there flying in, making a tackle right at the line of scrimmage? Kenneth George. You know what I mean? So it's like Alontae, Kenneth George, Warren Burrell, they're all sticking their nose and stuff. So that's why I took that picture. I love that. I think, and I watched the play to be like, okay, Reba, what if it was play action? And what if they did run a back and a tight end over that way? Did I feel like we would get outflanked in that flat? I was like, well, let me see where the safety is over there. Well, we still had 2 high safeties, and you do see when the play comes through that Theo was kind of right behind the linebackers and that side. So it was like we weren't outflanked to that side is my point. So that was what I loved. And then this next one, the next picture I took, the third one, it's the line of scrimmage getting pushed. It's Caleb getting good pressure, and you can see Matthew Butler's arm just absolutely extending. And it was awesome to see that we were getting pushed. And Caleb and Jay Blakely have been my surprise on the D-lines, man. They have really, really impressed me. Barron's been good. Butler's been good. Elijah's been fine. Bumpus has been good when he's in there. Amari's played well. But all of those guys I kind of expected. But seeing Jay Blakely and seeing Caleb, it's been good to see. And I'm off my defensive rant. I tried to talk fast.
Yeah, that was a pretty good job. Don't worry about it. Little things that I think just to discuss and maybe improve on is like Byron, I thought, was giving away when he was dropping into coverage. And I mean, that honestly helps out the offensive line, like understanding like, oh, I don't have to block you. Oh, we can slide this way. So it's just like sell that more. Or if you want to drop out of a 2-point stance, rush out of a 2-point stance. Because I thought that he was rushing out of the 3-point. As soon as he got into 2 points, like gives it away. Like teams will notice that on film. So just like understand, be aware of that and be able to do both. I thought Alante on that one deep ball. I feel like there's times where Alante likes to play it behind the receiver, like likes to get him going and then be almost a little behind him to possibly go for the ball. But it's just like I saw that happen. Then the wide receiver started talking mad stuff to him and was like, yeah, line up again, come across like right here, line up again. I'm going to beat you again. And it's like, all right, Alante, like you got to step up, man. Like you're supposed to be our number one corner. And it's like those kind of plays, like when you're in man, it can't, like you're the number one corner, right? Those kind of things can't happen. And then you mentioned like the D line and like Elijah getting cut. I think they really need to start working on getting cut. I felt like a few times the backside 3 technique, whether it be Butler or Elijah, was just getting taken out of the play by the tackle cutting them. It's like, hey, you got to be better. You got to be able to adjust off of that, push them down with your hand, keep, be able to be a part of the play. So I think that's something they need to work on. And also the awareness of a screen, the realization of a screen. I felt like our defensive line on the screens they ran didn't know it was a screen until way late, and then they're not even affecting the play. It's either go balls to the wall and go hit the quarterback as he's throwing the ball and make a difference on him and the way he feels, or understand what's happening, put your foot in the ground, turn, and get to the running back or the wide receiver before they get going. So I just thought those are just little things that we can definitely improve on as we move forward and make us a better defense overall. But I'm very excited by the way our defense looks. Our defensive line is amazing. And it's one of the things we said after we went to practice in camp is there's not going to be a harder working position group than the defensive line.
Right.
No way.
I thought I saw Byron a couple of times out of what would you say he was down in
a 2-point stance and going on the rush. Yeah.
I think he was on some of those where he was still standing up and he would still come compared to a hand in the dirt. But that's the thing about Alante that's always made me nervous. That's why I kind of was hard on him at the beginning of the year. And I still sometimes get a little nervous and don't trust him because, and I even said it on the podcast after we went to practice, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Burrell and George ended up becoming our starters. And it makes me think back on a quick little story. And when I was at Memphis, there was a guy named Torian Nixon. And he was I think he's like a 3-star recruit from Louisiana, which was a good get for Memphis. And this guy was maybe one of the fastest people I've ever been around. He ran track in high school and played football as well, but he was the state 100-meter champ in all of Louisiana. So this guy could go, like absolutely go. So he comes and he plays corner. And so we were both freshmen. So I got to know him pretty well. And obviously I was in the DB room and stuff like that. And I could see our DB's coach just like he didn't want to be a dick about it, even though our corners coach wasn't a great person and he was a dick, but our safeties coach was our defense coordinator. And they just want to be like, Torian, how can you get beat? You are one of the fastest people probably in college football. How can you ever get beat? But he constantly got beat deep by people a lot less fast than him. And I always thought about that. Now, Torian ended up going on. I think he transferred back home and played at Tulane. I think he played a decent little career. He got drafted in the NFL, 7th round. I think literally just pure speed. And I don't know how he ended up doing. I don't think he really ever held on. But I've always thought about that because I'm always like, bro, if I was that fast, like I'm getting paid millions. Like this is just me being arrogant and confident in my ability. But when you see someone with speed like that, you're like, bro, I'm playing in the NFL at receiver, corner. I'm going to be a little white corner out there running around, or I'm going to be at safety because he was so fast. And I'm like, how is a guy who runs a 4.6 or 4.7 or high 4.5 getting by you? Like, this is what I'm thinking. Like, and so I know it drove our coaches crazy. And I think about that with Alante because Alante has all the physical tools. And it's just like, I don't know if it's a mind block. I don't know if they're hesitating. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's just, it's like, it shouldn't happen. And it's just really weird to me how it happens. Like I would be in practice and I would be at safety and Torian's at corner. And I'm like, and I look up and I might be playing like curl flat. So like, I'm not deep. And I look back and Torian's got like a receiver, like a 1 or 2 steps behind him. And I'm just like, how is that possible? But anyways, like that's what it made me think about with Alante. So I don't get it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Alante gets so aggressive at the line and he puts himself out of position, if he doesn't use his hips well enough, whatever it is. But anyways, I'm good there defensively. I don't know if you really want to take a lot of time to talk about the rest of the SEC or what you have on South Carolina, but where do you want to go with it? I really only.
Well, I think we've been talking for a while, and I know people sometimes it's like so much information. So we can just briefly just like, hey, news in the SEC, because I already mentioned it. Arkansas got their butt whooped by Georgia. Ole Miss got their butt whooped by Bama. Kentucky beats Florida, which I've said
that was really the only game. That was really the only game I watched, and I do have a quick hit on it. But go ahead. But
I've said this before. Some teams just have other teams' numbers. Like
yes,
it's just the way it works. And I always saw Kentucky always has Florida's number. I don't know what it is. Even when they were bad, winning 4 games a year, they'd play Florida really close, or they'd win. It's just something about them.
It's Florida plays Kentucky close. We kind of always have Kentucky's number. Ole Miss kind of has that Bama thing randomly. It's just those matchups. It's those weird things that happen, all the time. But yeah, I agree with you. It's. I always feel like for the past freaking 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, you turn it on and you're like, wait, what? It's only 17-7, and Kentucky's sitting around hanging around in this game with Florida. But yeah, I completely agree with you.
And I think like we have that versus Georgia. Like even when we were bad, going 5-7 and not making a bowl game, the game was still like a 1-score game versus Georgia, and they're ranked like in the top 10.
And Florida has it against us.
Yes. So it's just like little stuff like that. I was like, dang, I knew that game was going to be close. I didn't think Kentucky would win.
Agreed.
But like we said, super excited for the opportunity to just crush them emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. Just like.
Well, let me say this though. I've been saying this though. Kentucky, people like to act like Kentucky is in the realm of South Carolina and Missouri. They're not. Like Kentucky has a good football team. I mean, now granted, it was at home and not at the Swamp, but we were 3-touchdown underdog and Kentucky was only a 7.5-point underdog. And so it was like they have a better offense and defensive line of scrimmage than we do. And I think their linebackers are probably definitely better. I don't know about their secondary, but like, I just think, well, I'm not saying anything that we don't know. Kentucky's had a good program going. Stoops has been there a while. Like he's been building this. We've just been churning, and we've still been good enough to beat them, which is what we love. And we love crushing their dreams. But Kentucky's like, we're gonna 100% be. I would not be surprised if we're not a double-digit underdog going there. Seriously, like if I just don't think the fans need to think that Kentucky's in there with South Carolina and South Carolina and Missouri, because that's not the case. Like,
yeah, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, if we win that game, it would be huge. That's my opinion. If we're going to be, I really think we could be like a 10-point underdog going up to Lexington.
Yeah.
If but anyways, the only thing that gives me hope about us playing Kentucky is that we have that little mojo over them, and they are so one-dimensional offensively. So that's another thing. But anyways.
Yeah. So let's just jump into South Carolina. What, this game means, what we're going into. I mean, huge confidence boost with this win over Missouri. These guys believe in what's going on. They believe in each other. Great bounce back after a loss. So everything going into this South Carolina game is going to be huge. Like you said last week, these 2 weeks are massive for us. Both of these teams were 1-0 right now versus Missouri. So now on to the next one. Can we be 2-0 for these 2 weeks? And I think we can. I mean, I saw some pitiful stuff from South Carolina. I mean, even this past week versus Troy,
Right.
10 penalties from 93 yards, 3 turnovers, only 102 yards rushing. I mean, all of the turnovers fumbles too. It's not like, a random pass intercepted by a bounce off of somebody else or anything like that. It's like they're just causing fumbles. And the end score was 14-23. It's like it was a close game the entire time. Third down efficiency, 4 of 13. Now they'll go for it on fourth down, so you just got to be careful with that, but so will we. But just like saying to South Carolina, like scoring 23 points ain't going to cut it versus this Heupel offense. So I feel great. I feel like it's mostly going to be about us and not about them. Just kind of how this game was too. It's like we really didn't have a lot of penalties. We really didn't have any turnovers. We didn't really make mistakes. That's what caused this blowout of Missouri. So if we can do that again, we're going to be all right versus South Carolina.
Makes me feel great that this game's at home. I was fired up and excited for the Florida game. Like, let's go. Let's knock them in the mouth. Like, let's do this. Yesterday, I was like, all right, man, I'm nervous. Like, can we please just go out and play a good, clean game and handle business against Missouri? I had not watched Missouri much. I watched them a little bit. I watched them against Kentucky. And so I was like, I think Missouri's going to give us a fight. And they didn't. So whatever. I'm just not going to – it's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. It's like you said. So I'm going to throw that one away. We played great. They didn't play good. We got to reset and coming back to South Carolina. Like, South Carolina's not just going to lay down and be garbage or whatever. Like, we still need to, like you said, focus on us, play a clean game, do what we need to do, handle business, don't let them hang around. And I think that's what we should be able to do. But like I said, Missouri, I was a little bit more nervous because I'm like, I don't know what to expect. Like, are we going to play like we did against Pitt? Are we going to play like we did against, Tennessee Tech or like Florida? Or how are we going to do this? I was thinking maybe more of our level of football. And then we go out and kill them. And so now I do feel pretty confident against South Carolina. Like, I'm like, it wasn't like, these next 2 weeks, like we need to win. Like, I'm like, all right, we should win this. But anyways, That's it for me. Go Vols, tighten up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna go get some freaking lo mein in the kitchen.
That's great. Yeah, you got some nice lo mein on deck at all times. Being a Chinese restaurant.
Little kung pao chicken.
Oh man. Yeah, great pod. I love getting a chance to really break down Heupel and Tim Banks and what they're doing offensively and defensively. Everyone, please share what we got going on. Tell your friends and family. The numbers have dipped a little bit in the YouTube. We got up in the 4,000s, when we told everybody about Joe Milton being the starting quarterback. We need to stay up there in the YouTube. So tell them where you're getting your information. When you're going and bragging about, hey, yeah, I think our defensive line is our bread and butter. I think, Byron Young's our best pass rusher. I think, you're giving out these little nuggets in conversations. Tell them where you heard it, right? Tell them where you got that info from. And let's spread this out. Keep commenting. Like Reed said in the very beginning, we love the comments, love the jokes. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow and rate on all the podcast platforms you listen to us. Reach out to us. We got email, believeintennessee.football@gmail.com. We have a phone number, 865-322-9232. So text or call there. And follow us on social media at Kyler Curbison on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, at rbacon26 on Twitter, at Believe in Tennessee on Twitter. And yes, really appreciate you guys listening and watching. As always, go Vols.